if you're going to make it hard, then it's going to be hard on both of us, man. Because I said, like, I'm not backing down from it. There's millions of dollars in front of it for me, and I'm not going to back down. So we can make it hard for each other, or you can.
Are you hiring, posting your position to job sites, and waiting for the right people to see it? Well, ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply to your job. In fact, 80% of employees who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. The right candidates are out there. ZipRecruiter is how you find them. Right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/BruinsBeat. That's ZipRecruiter.com/BruinsBeat. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And welcome to another edition of Murphy's Hockey Law, the long-awaited return of one Terry Ryan to the podcast here. He joins me. This is Jimmy Murphy, by the way, here on CLNS Media, and he joins me from Toronto, where he's at the airport waiting to board a flight over to Edinburgh, Scotland. Pierre, what brings you over to the fine country of Scotland?
Well, first of all, it's great to talk to you again, Murph, and Happy New Year. Have we done one? I don't know if we've done one in the New Year, have we?
I think the last one we did was during the Winter Classic, so it was on.
There you go. Yeah, you're right. Well, I'm going over there I'm working on Frontier, Season 3. You can catch it on Seasons 1 and 2 on Netflix right now.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to run on home, and I want you to tell him. You tell him I'm here.
And I'm working on the show, and I also play a minor character on there. I'll wait and tell you more about it after it happens, I guess. Spoiler alert kind of thing. But it's going to be a lot of work, but a bit of fun, obviously. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Scotland for a few weeks? Yeah,
you're right. And you've never been, right?
No, I've been to Scotland, no. And there's a lot, Newfoundland, for those that don't know, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of people listening to this podcast probably know a lot about Newfoundland. But being, that it's, part of, it's got a rich history of Canada and North America and everything else. I mean, St. John's is the oldest city in North America, and it's just made up of a lot of Scottish, English, and Irish. I guess that would be most of our ancestry would go back there. I mean, it's getting more multicultural each year, especially downtown St. John's area, and everything from the internet to job opportunities recently have contributed to that. So Newfoundland right now, it's a long story, Murph, but I took folklore in school, and often, I mean, that's how that part of my stand-up act. I mean, can you imagine, doing a folklore degree? I mean, I just went in there, but I didn't know what I was going to do, but I ended up in Newfoundland, following that path because it's got such a rich history of the same families with traditions and all those things, everything, that's why songs and the arts community, songs and stories and the folklore, the gist of it itself, it's a hard word to define really because everything's folklore. But in Newfoundland, you get a lot of those. You're an island, first of all, and so there's not a lot of people coming or going over the years. We go back to 1605 is when the first place was settled in Cupid's by John Guy. So, I find with that you get rich history and traditions and heritage. It's a lot of the same families, like the Clearys, for example. Danny Cleary plays for Detroit. He's from Harbour Grace. And Cupid's is in Harbour Grace. It's Conception Bay North, it's called. So it's a very, very old part of North America, the oldest, really. And, with mostly those are descendants coming from, Ireland, Scotland, or England. It's a very interesting place for me to visit. And I think I'm going to pop over to Dublin at some point. My family tree points to that area all over. So, it's going to be interesting for a lot of reasons. But any Newfoundlander, you're getting closer to your own heritage, oddly enough, by going visiting these places.
And I'm sure the suds will be tasty over there, my friend.
Oh, man, you got it. Well, in this particular show, I'm working closely with Jason Momoa, and Jason is the representative of, I haven't asked him. I don't know whether he gets paid for endorsing it, but he should, because if you look at his Instagram account, Jason drinks one thing, and it's Guinness. And we're going to be close to the homeland, and then he likes scotch, so, we're going to probably test the waters as far as that goes. And definitely, Murph, we're going to be checking out the odd pub. I mean, we're there to work, and a lot of the work, you know, when you're in the film industry, is getting up real early, but it doesn't prevent us from having 3 or 4 beers, you know, and touring the pubs and whatever may come. We're going to have days off too, right?
Yeah, for sure. That sounds brilliant, my friend. And, you know, I've got a few friends that have been over to Scotland a couple times, big golf aficionados, and they do nothing but rave about it. So you're going to have a good time over there. And T, as we were talking off air yesterday, they've also got a hockey team over there, right?
Yeah, I checked into it. You know, I didn't expect that. I mean, I don't pay much. I do. I follow Aaron Murphy on Twitter, and I
Murph's
know
a
some
good friend of mine.
There you go. I didn't realize his.
Yeah.
So his cousins, the Yetmans, who are real close friends of mine in Newfoundland. I kind of met him through them. Before all this, like back in the day, because he's from Newfoundland. And when I saw him gaining popularity, I wasn't really sure if it was him. And then a couple of years ago, he visited in the summertime. By the way, I said he was their George Street Festival, which I keep telling you got to come to.
Oh, I'm going.
And that's where I officially met him enough to hang out with and have beers with him and everything. He's a great guy, and so I've been following him. And the odd time when you see something from Edinburgh come up, but I didn't realize they had a team in the British League. But that's it. And you know, with that, I looked at a lot of the players' resumes. They've been around, so we're going to definitely go to some games. You know, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be cool stuff. You know, I mean, TR, not to, you know, and I guess it's not really a down note, but obviously sad that it happened. But you've got plenty of memories, fellow. But you're a good friend of yours and a former teammate, Greg Smyth, passed away. And
Gary Evans, but he ends up getting the penalty. Here we got.
Evans just took a shot at Mote.
Oh, here we go.
Look it up. Look at this. That's
Greg Smyth and Oduya. Greg Smyth is a big, strong guy. He's going to get Oduya. Is going to take a couple of shots here, but he's standing right in there. And Oduya, I tell you, you're not going to call him a chicken Swede, that's for sure.
Yeah. How do you do ya?
Smokes. Wow.
Oh, there's no way they're going to break that up. That's not a dance. That's a hockey fight. The players.
you know, you and I were talking about him yesterday on the phone. I thought it'd be cool just to bring up some of the stories you have of him on the air here.
Oh yeah, man. Bird-Dog was. And by the way, I apologize for that in the background. I'm at an airport, obviously, as you just mentioned, as long as you can hear me. Bird-Dog, I don't know, man. How do I explain this guy? First of all, he's a hard guy to explain because he was at once gentle and ferocious. He was definitely, without a doubt, the hardest person I've ever had to play against. I'm including Chris Pronger. I'm including everybody in that. Anybody who played against Bird-Dog or played with him knows what I'm talking about. He didn't give a fuck for anything. And I mean it like he respected me. The first game I heard about Bird-Dog, the first game I ever played him, we were playing in Timmins, Ontario. The Leafs rookies would go on a tour and play the Habs rookies. It was in New Liskeard, Ontario, Timmins, and somewhere else way up north. So they're intimidating games anyway. You know, you're just getting ready to get the season going. And these games back then were like all fight. Anybody who fought at all dropped the gloves in these games that wasn't signed. It was just, you know, that was the era. I don't know how much that happens anymore, but I mean, it was just, and there was no like three and out. I remember Eric Bolton fighting 5 times one night. It was nuts. Myself, I love a competitive game, but I didn't like these games. I didn't. And when I saw Bird-Dog, like I was genuinely scared. I was like, this guy's mad. I heard all these stories and I'd seen some VCR tapes on him. I saw him. He's on Don Cherry's throwing. He tried to get the penalty box against Kevin McClellan and threw a water bottle at him. I mean, he's got legendary stories. So anyway, we played against him, but I went right up to him and I put my stick up in his face, slap shot style. I didn't hit him. I just pointed at his face. I said, Bird, if you're going to make it hard, then it's going to be hard on both of us, man. Because I said, like, I'm not backing down from it. There's millions of dollars in front of it for me, and I'm not going to back down so we can make it hard for each other or you can fuck off. And now, him fucking off meant I'm going down the wing, and he whacked me so hard. I went, oh my, like, you know, even in junior, like if I tried to go to the outside, I had wheels back then against Belak or something. I don't know that I'd get the full tomahawk chop, but Bird didn't care. What did he care if he gets a 5-minute major in the rookie games? It didn't matter. And at the time, during that season, he ended up, I remember reading the Hockey News, there's a plus and minus section, right? So Bird ended up in the minus one year. It said Greg Bird-Dog Smyth becomes the most suspended player in the history of professional hockey.
Oh my
so
God.
I don't know how many games that was, and I don't know at what point. It was close to the end of his career because I played against him. But anyway, so this happens, and I went to the bench, and Jerry, because it was rookie games, but each team had like 2 or 3 veterans dressed to keep the presence, to slash leads, or lead slash, give a presence in case it went up. But it went up every night anyway, so I don't even know why they were dressed. And Jerry Fleming was on my bench, and he said, "Bird likes you." And I'm like, "He likes me? What the fuck are you talking about? He nearly broke my ankle going around him there." He said, "Yeah, but he didn't break your ankle." I said, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." And true as fucking God, Murph, the next 2 years, I never got in a fight with Bird. I was in his division, and he fought everybody else. But if you looked him, and you stood up to him, then he'd play you hard. And I'm not saying he was ever nice to you. I remember thinking that, 5-6 games into my Bird Dog career, thinking, "Oh, this guy, he's pretty cool, he's a legend, I'll go buy him a beer." And he took the beer and he threw it off the ground, smashed it, and said, "I'll have my own fucking team buy me beer, thanks." So like, by no means were we on good terms. And another time we walked into the strip club in St. John's Cotton Club, and a ashtray come flying in front of our faces right off the wall. Bird was sitting with Jason Podolin and I think Lonnie Bahanas. And we went in, and then second one came over, and then I realized, I'm like, fuck, he doesn't want us in this bar, right? The Bird, we were coming up over the stairs, and 2 ashtrays up. So he was mad like that. Okay, so at first you would think, I'll give you one more mad story, or crazy story. So we were playing them in the playoffs. I actually got this in my book, at least part of it. But we were playing them. I was in Fredericton. He was in St. John's. So the Leafs were playing the Canadians in the minors, and every other Canadian team was out. I believe it was 97, 98, or 98, 99 it was. So, we were the only real hockey story on Sportsnet, given that by default the NHL teams were gone that were from Canada.
Yeah.
So not the only story, but we were definitely the Canadian story. Like there was TSN, Sportsnet at all the games, shit. So anyway, we went up 2 games to nothing. And in that series, Mark Tayel for the Leafs lost his eye, which is another story, and I'll tell you that one later. That's unbelievable. But anyway, he lost his eye, and they come back and make it 2 games to 2. So actually, 2 games to 1. They did make it 2 games to 2, but this was before Game 4, so they hadn't done it yet. So we're out there skating, at the end of our practice, and Bird, I guess, thought that we were out there too long. Now, the rink attendant had come over to us, and we started our practice at 9:15. So we went 9:15 to 10:15 instead of 9 to 10, right for our pregame skate. So they were supposed to come on at 10. Now, they didn't realize this, but it was only to ask. So they just, and we hated each other. It was a real hate on. There was no, Twitter and, and nothing against Twitter and social media, but I think it made a lot of players softer, where, you're throwing kisses before the game and shit, right? And Bird wasn't one of those guys that you talk to him in warm-up either. He'd slash you in the face if you did that. I mean it. He was nuts. He was crazy out there. So, both our teams had a hate on. We got in bar fights with them. I mean, it was next level kind of stuff. And this is all on the record shit. So, Bird, anyway, he comes on our ice. He puts on his gear and he skates onto our practice. Now, I had just gotten off the ice, but Dave Morissette yells to me. He's like, "Bird's out there. He's crazy. He's crazy." Now I come out and he's firing clappers at our players, getting them off the ice. And Rolly Melanson was out there. Our 3 goalies that year were Jose Theodore, Thomas Faucoon, and our third was Mathieu Garon, if you can fucking believe that.
Oh, my God.
I know. We had a sick goaltending, man. So anyway, Garon was out there getting skated. He was like a, third goalie at most of the year. So anyway, but Bird went out, and then he started firing them at Garon from the other end, and one of them hit Rolly Melanson, who was just out there in his tracksuit. And that ended our practice. Everybody came in. It was like, in no way am I downplaying the war, okay, because I get what they go through. It's craziness. We'll never do it. But the benches were like trenches. Like, we all ducked down under the bench, and there was pucks going off the home sign behind the bench. I was going, holy shit. And we all scurried down into in our dressing room, and we're like, what do we do about this? And they just stayed out there practicing. And then Terrian didn't want to say anything because he's like, someone just go get him right now. And we because I'm like, I was in the room going like, how the fuck is this not a suspension? Like, there's something suspendable here. Like, call the league or some shit. I don't want to play one more minute against this madman. But anyway, all that aside, and not only that, Jimmy, 2 years later when Bird Dog retired, I went over to play for the St. John's Maple Leafs. And he ended up getting let go because Jason Bonsignor, this is true, who never, had a history of not living up to his potential because he didn't try hard. And like I'm saying, Bird couldn't stand you if you were chicken shit or you didn't try hard. Bird couldn't stand you. Right? He went in Portland one night. I saw him take out J.P. Dumont, who played for Chicago, the scorer.
Yeah.
You ask him how he lost his full row of teeth. Bird Dog went right over to him because he would play like a wuss, and Bird didn't like it. And he went over and cross-checked him right in the teeth. I mean it. It was that level. Like, you had no idea what was going to happen. So, anyway, that went down, and we went back to play St. John's, and we beat them. Myself, Aaron Asham, and Scott King, who was a great hockey player, never got to the NHL, ironically, because his dad was our assistant coach in Montreal. And he was in the minors with us sniping, too, out of nowhere. He was a little fat kid, like Kyle Wellwood or Phil Kessel mold, but really could snipe. And we had a good game. And we won 3 or 4-2. And then he came up to Tyrion after the game and said, "You're not shaking fucking hands." And I said, "Well, I am shaking hands. Like, I'm in my hometown, first of all." Anyway, we went over, 6 of us. Half the team shook hands, half didn't. Anyway, that's a Tyrion story. Split the team down the middle. But anyway, that was it. And Bird shook my hands. He wouldn't skate through, and he was retiring, and he shook my hand. But anyway, to the Bonsignor, and I'll never forget it. I'll get to the soft side of Bird next. But Bonsignor, to finish this part, Bird, Bonsignor looked at him at the table in Portland. We're eating steaks. And he says, they were getting chirping each other, friendly chirping. But I always said to people, if you're a wuss, don't friendly chirp a Bird, because it's going to get to the point that he's going to embarrass you, or he's going to throw you up against, something's going to happen. Don't call him on anything. And Bonsignor said, "Well, at least when I'm 31, I won't be coaching in this second-rate league or whatever." And then Bird went crazy. He threw the table aside and grabbed him by the collar and said, "Don't you ever speak like that to me again, you fucking childish whatever." He went on, or he was mocking him about that he wouldn't, he wasn't trying. More effort in a blank. So anyway, now that all happened. Now Bill Waters had to let him go, I guess. Looking back, Bonsignor never got to the NHL. What Bird said was true, and he didn't. The story was exaggerated. He threw him out of a window, and it didn't happen. He was just pissed off. And if he did it to me, I would owe up and go and play hard the next game. But Bonsignor, I guess, man, didn't know how to handle that shit. So, Bird ended up getting fired. But outside of that, okay, now I'll tell you another thing that I'll start. Nathan Dempsey was playing in St. John's with Bird for the 3 years that he was in St. John's. Now, I was with Freddie, and I had good friends, including Sean Thornton, on St. John's, and we'd go for beers after the game. So I come over one time waiting for Thornton, and Bill Waters was there and told Bird that he got called up. And Bird took his stick and threw it over against the wall, man. And he snapped. And he said, "I'm called up." He said, "Nathan fucking Dempsey is sitting there and you're not calling him up?" He said, it's probably because he got 9 games and he gets a bonus for the 10th game, which I believe ended up being true. That's not hard to find out. I'll ask Nathan, but I remember that being a big deal. That if he played a 10th game, he got a bonus or something. Whatever it was, Bird snapped, and he didn't want to get called up, and he refused it. And Nathan ended up going up to play. I'm sure I've told you stories about going down in my basement at home. My dad's basement is legendary. It's like a hockey museum, and all kinds of people have been in, from Ron McLean to Jason Momoa to Jim Cuddy. It's a shrine down there.
Yeah.
And all those years, thousands of people have come down, and Bird is the only guy I ever took in. My mom, he brought her in a present, chocolates, and he brought her in a bottle of wine. And because
classic.
And but he knew that she was watching me, and he gave me a hard time for those 2 or 3 years, but he wanted her to know, I love the guy. And I remember Mom being really upset one night. Being a mother, I didn't mind it at all, man. I figured if I piss Bird off, there's scouts there and they see that I got balls. So at no point did it bother me. I mean, I was scared at times, but he never did to me what he did to DeMont. He did hit me hard, but I know Bird could have been harder on me.
Yeah.
Generally, probably the only guy I was ever scared of, though, because it's one thing if I take a punch from Domi, I know what I'm getting, but I don't think Domi's going to look at me and spear me in the face. But Bird just always left. He did it every once in a while, just so you'd almost like Mark Messier do the same to you. Messier's not quite as ruthless, and he was much better and had more to lose. But once in a while, that's why people say he didn't fight a lot. Well, even watch the Canada Cup '87. He cross-checks a guy in the semifinal. It should have been a 20-game suspension. But anyway, that was Bird, and I remember after the game, my dad had a very different perspective. He said, Terry, if a guy like that was your agent, you wouldn't spend another day in the minors. He could tell that Bird was throwing me a bit of a bone out there. And, you know, everything from that to at home, and he moved. He's from Mississauga, so he's from Toronto. He played for the Leafs. A lot of people, Jimmy, in that position stay in Toronto. They can be famous, even if they played a few games. The rest of the year, they're a Leaf. You know, I'm with the NHL Alumni Association, and I even get to do some gigs here at 8 games with the Montreal Canadiens and, you know, a bunch in the minors. But, you know, if you're a Leaf here, you're God. And Bird didn't want to do that. He didn't like it. He stayed in Newfoundland, man. And if you know Newfoundland, you know, it's a blue-collar kind of place where you do a lot of fishing and hunting and everything. And I was telling you about some years playing senior hockey. So when I first came back, even now I'm still playing senior, but there was a few years there that we were making like cash in an envelope at the end of the game kind of thing, like $500, $600 a game. We got caught for it. By the way, we all had to pay back the money. But to the government, we got heavily taxed for it after. But anyway, that's another story. We were all getting money, and Bird Dog chose not to. He wanted to get paid in moose meat and firewood for an entire season. Now, that's a lot of moose meat and firewood. I swear to fuck. I swear to fuck. It's unbelievable. And he did that. He played for the Grand Falls Cataracts. And now, of course, the league's legit. Like, we get paid on above board, right? Everybody knows it's a check and everything. But back then, you know, it was cash. And Bird's the only guy never to take cash. And that's a lot of cash to turn down. But he just got, like, freezers full of moose meat and firewood. And he would show up to games, like, in, you know, rubber boots and just one of those true blue dudes, you know?
Gosh.
I don't know how many times. The last 24 times I hung out with Bird, he grabs a few beer. We live next to Middle Cove Beach at home. And we'll go down, man, and sit on the beach, have a fire. I'll bring kids, Danielle, Tammy, his life partner. He ended up marrying her, and a real loyal guy. Lots of guys aren't. I won't chirp. But Bird is just one of those. Like, once he met Tammy and he committed to her, that was it. If you try to get Bird, if you try to say, hey, Bird, you know, let's go to the strip club, nope. He was devoted to her. That was it. He likes his beers early in the day. And even when you played, he would, he coached me twice. You know, he didn't care if we were drinking. In fact, he'd say, bring it on, team camaraderie. And right after practice or whatever it would be, like noon till 8 or 9 at night, he didn't give a fuck. But if you're out the night before a game till 3 in the morning, then you better not show up at the rink because he'll lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me put it this way too, for those listeners that weren't familiar with Bird Dog. I'll give you an example here, everyone, of how much this man fought and went to bat for his team. In 1997-98 season with the St. John's Leafs, 63 games played, 353 penalty minutes, TR. Like,
which year was that again?
This was 97-98 with the St. John's Leafs.
Exactly. And that is the first year that I played. That's the year I'm talking about. Now, I'm in his division playing him 16 times a year without playoffs. Now, right? I mean, what?
And this was the second to last year of his professional career.
Yeah, the last year was 98, 99, and that's the second year. That's the year I was telling you that he fired coaches, he fired slap shots at our coaches.
So,
not at our coaches, he fired them at all of them.
Yeah, this guy would still go at it at a late age, so God bless him, man. And now, TR, am I mistaken, he passed away from cancer?
Yeah, he did, and, you know, true to form, true Bird Dog, he was right up to the end, you know, a battler, but you knew that would happen, but I don't know what it was like to be with him at home. If I was Tammy, I can't imagine what that must be like to live with somebody that young, that you spent, you know, really a lot of time with, but they were planning on spending a lot more. You know, they got together when he played here 20 years ago now, but so I can't speak for what that's like, but in my experience with him, the last time I laid eyes on him was a few months ago downtown, and he would still sit there. He liked having a beer with the boys, so he was skinnier, and you could tell. And he just, like, didn't really want to talk about it, but he had a couple beer, and Tammy was there to make sure he didn't have too many. I mean, it was just to have a beer in front of him, I think. Like, that was his thing. Yeah. He took the hospital bed and went in his living room to live out the remaining days.
God
And he
bless.
just wanted, we all made a video for him. So much like the video I did on Twitter, I made another one, and we all blended them together. We all made videos, made it into one big film with some music on it, some of his highlights and everything.
Right.
And he got to see that before he passed away, like the day before. Gladly enough that we got it done. And he specifically, so he left a note and specifically said he doesn't want a funeral. So on Friday coming, all the boys are going down to Kelly's, where he hung out, one of the bars he hung out at, the Irish pub in St. John's, and they're putting up pictures of Bird Dog, and time went on. A true sense an Irish funeral or an Irish wake, whatever you would want to call it.
Yeah.
So,
that's how I wanna go.
and that was, that's true Bird Dog, right? He said it right up to the end. He said, I'm not kidding. I don't want to have a funeral. That's not the way to do it. That's a logical decision with only days left to live. I really respect that, because I don't know what I'd do. I think if I was in that position, honestly, I'd give thought to killing myself. And I don't mean that. I'm not disrespecting suicide or anything. I'm saying there's certain things I'm fearless about. There's other things that I really can't speak. I don't know what I'd do. To face it like that and be that logical, to say, no, well, the guys will be doing this. Like, I couldn't really look past it. The fact of what was going to happen to me. Now, I don't know how that's going to be. It's going to happen to all of us, and who knows. But the way he handled it was absolutely, brave to me.
Well, he handled it just like he handled the rest of his life, TR. So, God bless your friend there, Greg Bird Dog Smyth, my man. He will be missed, I know.
Well, thanks, buddy. And, if nothing else, like they say, what do we got, right? You want to live on in memory and hopefully positive ones. But, Bird is, how can I put it? Dead in the physical sense only, because he's alive and well more than a lot of people I know, because, we'll always be talking about him, and he's a part of all of us, man. Anybody who he played with or against, he impacted. Now, some of that, if you only knew him on the ice, would have been in a negative way. But anybody who ever met him for 5 minutes off the ice would want to give him a big hug.
Yeah. God bless him, man. That's good stuff. If you're trying online dating, chances are you've run into lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, and random matches that turn into dates. But eHarmony is unlike any other online dating site. eHarmony takes steps that other dating sites don't in order to find you a more compatible match. They are built to help you find lasting, meaningful relationships, not just a shallow hookup site. So stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's one app that's built to bring you real love: eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. Enter my code BruinsBeat at checkout. What else has been going on, my friend? So Scotland, and then, we've got St. Patrick's Day is less than a month away, Terry.
Well, that's large in St. John's, as you know, right? And so when I was telling you earlier about, most of our ancestors come from Ireland, Scotland, or England,
yes,
for the most part. But of those, the Irish part won out when it came to at least music. I would say most of the arts and culture there, but if you listen to Great Big Sea, you're getting more of an Irish sound than the other two.
Oh yeah.
Or the Irish Descendants is another great band from Newfoundland.
How about the High Kings? I don't think they're Newfoundland, but I think they're Maritimes, right?
Yeah, and they've played there a lot.
They're brilliant.
The Newfoundland sound is real Irish. Sometimes it's hard to tell the two apart, especially if you're from the Southern Shore. The Southern Shore now is where Ron Hines is from. He's a legend. Get into Ron Hines if you haven't. He's the best singer-songwriter ever from the Newfoundland, and that's saying something because there's a lot. But he had one of the most recorded songs of all time called Sonny's Dream. If you're listening to this, listen to Sonny's Dream. Do yourself a favor, Ron Hines. And I believe he just became available on Spotify and iTunes everywhere. So I've got no reason to say this, but I'm plugging Ron Hines because I'm from Newfoundland. And I'm not going to say started it all, but in the 80s in Canada, there was a show called The Wonderful Grand Band, and he was in The Wonderful Grand Band, and they're legendary at home. And they paved the way for bands like Great Big Sea, who, might have ended up more popular. But Ron Hines, to any singer-songwriter in Newfoundland, in Canada, wouldn't be far off Leonard Cohen. And I mean that. I know that's saying something. Well, you look into it.
Ron, is it
Yep.
H-I-N-E-S or H-Y?
Hynes. The band that he was in was the Wonderful Grand Band, and they had 2 unbelievable albums. What they had, Jimmy, there was folk music in Newfoundland, right? Again, I did folklore, so not only do I like music, but the courses you get taken are like the history of music in Newfoundland, which is based on, I shouldn't say that, but very heavily influenced on Irish again. But, you had the Irish Rovers would come here. You had Ryan Spency, you had Fergus O'Byrne. And so it was rumbling in the 50s and 60s. It was happening. Now, Ron Hynes came out, and not every song is pure Irish. He's from that area, the Southern Shores, where all these bands come from, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
At least, Southern Shore, put it this way, is the most Irish part of Newfoundland. And so Ron, they did, but they didn't sound as Irish as Great Big Sea. There was a mainstream thing, and then they had a show called The Wonderful Grand Band in the 80s, and it was it would have a music video, and then it would have like a bit of, this is all on YouTube too. It would have like a bit of situational comedy, like Saturday Night Live kind of thing. And then from that, and I don't know this for sure, but I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I guarantee you that The Kids in the Hall was a derivative of that. There was people in the band that I did a movie with last year, Christmas Fury. Sandy Morris was in, who was in the Wonderful Grand Band, and 2 of the Kids in the Hall were in the movie. They seem to really know each other well. I don't really know, but the Kids in the Hall was the same kind of show as the Wonderful Grand Band. Now, where are they from? They're from Halifax or something, the Kids in the Hall, right? So they, in Newfoundland, like every Tuesday night came on Wonderful Grand Band, and then that went into Codco was the name of the show, Codco. And it was all the same people. It's just, so by the 90s, in comes Kids in the Hall, in comes Great Big Sea, in comes the Irish Descendants. And then they kind of carried that wave. But before all of it were the Wonderful Grand Bands. And TV, music, they were phenomenal band. And I don't even know where I started, but...
Yeah. We were talking about St. Patrick's Day coming up. So that's,
Well, there you go.
And that music's
so
right
I
up
figured
my
I'd plug them.
That's what I was raised on, was that type of music, Terry. My dad was really into that. So,
listen, I was down. I spent a lot of time in Boston and surrounding area. I used to go to Cape Cod in the summers to Paul Vincent's hockey school by choice. When I was like in my 20s, not when I was a kid. I would come down. Montreal would give us money to train, right? So I just picked there, as well as a few other places were my favorites. So if I needed a week or 2 of training, I'd go there. And I spent a lot of time. Now, Boston is very, very similar. Newfoundland, more of the local stuff is definitely Irish music. You're going to go downtown, but Boston is like right there. I mean, you just get so many people, and it's a little bit more multicultural, which is a good thing. But if you were from Boston, you came to St. John's and went around downtown. We got the majority of our pubs are Hurley's Pub. I shouldn't say majority of our pubs. Majority of our bars. Right, there are clubs, and there are, nice martini bars and things like that. But for the most part, it's Irish pubs.
Yeah, you know what? I got to get up there, Terry. Enough's enough. We're gonna make it happen this summer. Yeah,
I mean, ask anybody. You ask anybody that even played in the AHL for the St. John's Ice Caps or the St. John's Maple Leafs. They're all over. Like you go to the next. Bruins game, there's going to be someone there that played there. And it was pretty much everybody's favorite road trip. I mean, it was every team I played on that came to St. John's, all the boys used to circle it off on the calendar. I mean, you got Mile 1 Center is a great rink right next to George Street. And George Street is starting to become really mainstream. It used to be like the best kept secret, but at this point, it's becoming pretty mainstream. And with that's a good thing. I don't see it as a bad thing, but it used to feel more of like ours. Now you go down in the summer and there's just as many people not from the islands. But again, I don't mean it's a bad thing. Nostalgia-wise, I guess it's a different thing, but it's not a bad thing. I think you'd really, really enjoy it. There's not too many people. The street goes on. There's George Street, which is all bars and restaurants. There's not one thing on it but bars and restaurants. When I say restaurants, like they might serve a bit of food. It's all bars. And then, Water Street. So if there's there's a big stage in the middle of it, so you're packed in. We probably get 30,000 people there. And then you got Water Street, which Water Street always was. I don't know officially now, but it was the most bars per capita on a street in North America. And that's not even George Street.
Yep.
The Water Street's just the oldest. It's the old street that goes straight, like Yonge Street in Toronto. It's our version. It's not that long, but in relativity, it's pretty long. And it's old. Yep. And there's all kinds. Yeah, nice. I like that. You're always on your toes.
That was too easy.
Yeah, that was too easy. Yeah, but that's it, Jimmy. It's like, there's lots to do in St. John's for a small place. When I say small, I guess, but it's. I'm going to Edinburgh now. It's slightly bigger. I think St. John's surrounding area might be 250, maybe 250,000.
Yeah.
Well, I got no reason to say that other than I know it's like I'm guessing. Right, 150 in St. John's proper. I live in Mount Pearl, CBS surrounding area. Yeah, maybe 250 or 3.
Well, you know what? We need to get up there. We'll plan it out. We'll have my friend Mike Dussault. He's my cameraman for CLNS Media. And we'll come up. We'll film a documentary, just you and me going around, taking in hockey, taking in music, and of course we'll finish it off in your basement.
Oh yeah, guaranteed. We can do that. I'm a happy man. We could even have a home and home. I love Boston.
Oh yeah.
We could do a home and home.
Yeah, let's do it, my friend. Let's do it. Let's get it going. Listen, my friend, we're gonna send you off. We'll play a little. This one's for Bird Dog. This is what we played when my dad went. It's
beautiful.
The Parting Glass by the High Kings. I think it's a perfect song for him.
Nice choice, Jimmy. I know the song well. Nice choice. Yeah. And Bird Dog, wherever he is smiling. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, for sure, my friend. Great stuff. TR, you have safe travels over to Scotland, and let's try and do it while you're over there. Let's hook this up.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, that's
no reason we can't get one a week done.
Exactly, especially with this technology we got now. So let's make it happen, Riley. Have a few Guinness for Bird Dog. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Talk soon. That's
Terry Ryan. I'm Jimmy Murphy. This has been another edition of Murphy's Hockey Law here on CLNS Media. Want to win $1,000? Black Buffalo is currently running a contest to spread the word about their movement. You can find details on blackbuffalo.com as well as using the code Bruins50 for 50% off your first order. Black Buffalo is a proud sponsor partner of a nonprofit dedicated to helping special operations forces transition out of the military into the private sector. More details about that partnership at blackbuffalo.com. Remember, Black Buffalo, born in the Midwest, raised in the South, charge ahead.